Good afternoon. This is Debbie Bratton, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from St. Robert, Missouri. I'm hopping on here today to demonstrate another. Oh, forgot to mute my laptop. Okay, I'm hopping on here to have day 2 of my Fun Fold series and to straighten myself out because I look pretty crooked. It always looks straight when I'm looking through it from above when I get it in the stand, but then somehow it gets crooked when it shows up here. Okay, so my dog is being very needy today. He wants to sit in my lap, although he weighs 45 pounds, so he doesn't get to sit there. He just thinks he can. If you're here and you're watching, if you could comment, I'm trying to fix it so I can see comments. Oh, and now it looks like it's working. I commented and it popped right up. So let's just see if it will work today. Let me try something. Because uh, it's kind of annoying when I can't see when people are commenting. Okay, it worked for me twice, so we shall see what happens now. Oops. Okay. So if you're on and you comment, I will try to answer. If not, I will answer you when I finish the video and all the comments pop up. Today we're going to make this very bright and beautiful card with strawberry slush and blueberry bushel. I don't use either one of these colors very often, but I think I'm going to use them more often now after making this card. And it opens up like this. And I have a little note inside, and there's room for you to sign. Maybe not room to write a little note, but you could always add a piece of white to the back if you wanted to write more. So I have the measurements here. I did make a mistake on the measurements. I wrote them all down and got it all looking nice in my book, and then I went to cut paper and I realized this strawberry slush cut where I said 4x7, it's really 4x11, and you score it 2, 3 1/4, 7 1/4, and 9. I don't know how I got those numbers. I was measuring, but I didn't measure right. But everything else on here should be good to go. I'll let you take a screenshot of that. All right, let's get started. So first of all, we have a piece cut at 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, which is going to be the back card base of our card. Then we have this piece, which is the small card on front. And like I said, it's cut at 4x11, scored at 2, 3 3/4, 7 1/4, and 9. So we're going to go ahead and crease these folds. I got this one to lay pretty flat. I'm going to see if we can get this one to lay flat because oh my goodness, look at that. Well, I guess I'm going to have to put a piece of white on the back of mine then. Oh no, that'll be glued down. So you won't even see that. I'm not even sure how I got a big swatch of strawberry slush back there. Perhaps something happened when I was cutting last night. because I can't even think if I even have my strawberry slush pad over here, but I must. Oh, and it's bled all the way through to this side. Okay. When I put this piece of white, when I put the white in there, let me just see how much of that's going to show. Maybe I had something on my glass mat. So it's not going to show really that much with my white piece here on the inside, so I'm going to leave it and I'll put a white piece on the back. Hopefully we don't get any more. I'm looking at my hands, they're not inky. You just never know here in Nana's staffing room what could happen. It's a mystery sometimes. Now we're not getting this to lay down very flat. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut my DSP. I didn't cut my DSP ahead of time because I wanted to show you how I decided how to cut it, because there's so many different pieces. So you're going to need 2 sheets in order to get out all these pieces, only because you want to keep this sun, although my sailboat kind of hides the sun. So I have this piece of window sheet that I cut at 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, which is the size I need. Let me turn it the right way so I don't get it upside down. Oh, I have 3 sheets of this. Okay, so we're going to take this first sheet and we're going to lay it here in the middle so that we get the sun centered in the middle, and you can measure it if you want. I'm about 1 3/8 from that side and 1 1/2 from this side, so I just need to move it over a little. Okay, that's pretty close now. Now I want to do up and down. How much of the sun do I want? How much of the water do I want? Let me look at this piece. I can tell that I almost have it exactly right because that little bit of blue is right there. So I almost have it exactly as the one here. And I'm going to take my pen. You could use a pencil, but on this dark of cardstock, I think you kind of need to use a pen just to be able to see it. And I'm just going to put some little marks here. And when I cut, I will cut right on those marks. Let's see if I can even see them down here. Okay. Now I'm going to get my trimmer. And I'm going to cut this out. So I want to put this pencil line, or this ink line, right in with my cutter tray, my little, whatever you would call this slot, where the blade goes through. And I'm going to turn it around this way. And I am going to cut it this way. Now cutting this at 3 1/8, it might stick out a little bit from the cutout, but that way I can trim it off, and that way I'm sure I have exactly the right amount. So now we're going to cut here on these lines. If we could see these lines down here. I see one now. It's right there. It's kind of hard to see in all this water. Okay, so now we should have this perfectly proportioned to go in our thing on the whatever you could, the label on the front there. So I've already cut out my shape somewhere here in this stack. Here we go. This time I decided to use the lighthouse. So this time the sun will shine. And like I said, this is probably going to be 1/8 of an inch too long and too wide, but I just wanted to be sure I had enough. You know how that is when you cut it right at 3. Sometimes it gets just a little off and you don't have enough. But I do, and I can just trim this off. So let me put some adhesive behind here. I like the lighthouse and the sailboat. Sometimes it's kind of hard to decide which one to use. Today everything went live, so all the new online exclusives, all the new catalog, everything is live for sale today. I know that some of you are just really excited about getting maybe this paper or the Winnie the Pooh paper. I want to see if I have this straight, that the lighthouse is standing up straight. And I'm just going to use my paper snips and kind of trim this now. You can make it be exactly 3 if you wanted to. I just like to have a little play. And it doesn't really take that long to trim this off. So there we go. Now to make this is not very sturdy. And it's always going to be opening up and everything. So I decided to put a piece of basic white on the back of it just to make it be a little more firm. So I have one here cut at 3 by 3. We're going to add some glue. And we're going to add this to the back. We want to get it on here straight. So there we go. So now we have our middle part figured out. And with this lighthouse, I saw that some people were using this little fence die that comes with it and adding a fence around here. So I thought we could try that today. I haven't tried that yet on my lighthouse. So I'm just going to put a little drops of glue on the post of this fence. It's kind of a rainy day here today. After this, I'm going to get my nails done, and I have some errands to run at Walmart. And you could cut this fence out in any color. You could cut a little white picket fence. You could cut out a black, so it looks like a shadow, but I just happen to have some Early Espresso laying by my embossing machine, so I decided just to use that. It just kind of adds a little bit to the picture. Okay, so now we're finished with that. So let's get started cutting these pieces. First, we're going to cut these 2 pieces here. And they are, let me just get my measurements back out. They're 3/4 by 3 5/8. So we're going to kind of do what we did yesterday and try to line up our horizon lines. So I can get 3/4 out of each one of these and 3 5/8. But we want to make the horizons match. So let's first cut them at 3/4. It's not really going to matter that much because they are pretty far apart in the picture. Actually, This one was wide enough that I could get both of them out of there. So that's great. Now what we're going to do is, I still need my cutter, line them up so that the horizons match. And we need this to only be 3 5/8 long. I'm just checking my thing again. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, 3/4 by 3 5/8. So let's kind of put a mark here. We can line this up with this, since I've already done this one. We're going to use our pen again. There's a lot of measurements to this. You could just go ahead and cut it however you want it, but I like the horizons to match, even though they're not next to each other or anything. I think it just helps the card look better. So I'm going to put these two in here, and I'm going to see my mark that I made. You know, I need to get a better pen or something, because now I don't even see it. I do. It just looks like one of the blue spots of the river, the ocean, or whatever it is, the lake. So we want that there. Whew. I think maybe it's going to be a very low. That doesn't look right, does it? Three 5/8. 1, 2, 3/8. Okay. So I think I'm going to cut this again, because I cut that way too low. I have way too much sky and not enough water. So we have this piece here. And we will try again. So I'm going to cut this 3/4. And again, I get two pieces out of the one piece. We're going to line them up, and we're going to try one more time. Maybe if I get my white gel pen out. I'm not sure if I need to, we now have white gel pens in the new offering. So we're going to have to see if my old white gel pen works. If not, we'll try again with the blue. It's just easier if I can line it up like this, because I know I already did this one so that it all came out correctly. So I'm going to make a line there, and I'm going to make a line up here. I didn't try my white gel pen. I'm pretty sure I haven't used it in a very long time. It is probably dried. So this is going to look better. I can already tell that I have more water. We're going to turn it this way and cut it at 3 5/8. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, which is almost where my line is. Yep, I see my line now. It just blends in so well with the blue of the sky or the water. Okay, so now we have this. And we're going to say it's good. So these are the two that are going to go on each side. Then we need our pieces that are going to go on the outside. So next we're going to cut these two pieces here. And they are 1.5 by 3 3/8. So we're going to first cut them at 1.5 and 1.5. I'm going to take 1.5 off this side. It just doesn't look big enough, does it? Here's my little ruler, which is underneath all my scraps. Definitely it's 1.5. Okay. So I have 1.5 on this side, and then I want to leave the sun in case I want to do another lighthouse or sailboat. So I'm going to cut 1.5 off this side, which will then leave me my 3 inches this way, so I can use this to make another background. We're going to put them together. And you might have a better way to decide how to cut all these so their horizons are the same, but this is just the way I've been doing it. First, I really work hard when I do my first card, but then I kind of have it down pat for my next few. So we're going to cut these. You know, you can see that blue so much when I do it, but then when I come back over here, I have a hard time finding it, but I see it now. And since everything is kind of, this tag kind of hides the horizon and the other ones are on the side, you don't have to be as perfect as if you're doing all 3 or all 4 right next to each other. So let's do some gluing now to get this put together, now that we've taken all that time to cut everything. So we're going to take our card base. We're going to take our strawberry slush mat, which is 4 by 5.5, and we are going to glue it down. Now, if you wanted to, you could just save some paper by just cutting a strip here and a strip here that's 1 inch wide by 4. But I just went ahead and used the whole mat on this one. I'm going to get this even on here. Then I'm going to take my 2 smaller strips and I'm going to put one on this side, one on this side. Be sure I have my water up and my water down and my sky up, and I want to leave, you know, just the same amount of border as you do on a card front. There we go. Then we're going to do this one. Now you could wait to put these on until after you have the small card in the middle, either way. So now we're going to do the small card. And we are going to first start with these, and we're going to put them on a mat of blueberry bushel, just to make them stand out a little bit more. Get them all lined up and straight. Get this one lined up and straight. This paper is just gorgeous. Just beautiful sunsets or sunrises. Now we're going to put one of these on each panel. I did not put one on the inside here because you don't really see it that much. You can if you want. Cut some more of the DSP and put it in there on that other flap. It would be the same as this outside flap. Oh, I need to get this more even in there. Needs to come up a little bit. There we go. Put this one on. Once you get all the pieces cut, the hardest part about this to me is, actually I almost put that one on wrong. I want to have the sky all at the top. Okay, so now I have that finished. Now I can put this piece on, and I only want to put glue on the one side so that it doesn't glue it shut. Let me try to crease this a little bit more so maybe it will lay down a little bit better. That is a little bit better there. Now we'll see if we can get this one. There we go. So we'll do the same thing to this one. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting to loosen up the fibers in the cardstock so that they lay more flat. That's a little bit better. So now we're going to take this piece and we're just going to put glue on this side. We're going to center this on the front. I need to hold it up like this just so I can see it, so I can get it centered. And there we have that. Now, let's be sure we didn't glue it shut. We did not. No glue hanging out there. So now we're going to glue this to our card base. We're going to ignore the big splotch of strawberry slush on the back. We're going to lay this in here. And see, our horizons here are almost perfect. They're just off maybe by a little bit. Then we have the lighthouse, and it's going to open up. Now we'll do the inside of the card. So let me get out my stamps here. I have them sitting here. I have some water, I have some words, I have the sun, I have the sailboat, and I have some more words. So I want to be sure this fits in here one way because it's not quite a perfect square. Okay, so like this. And this white piece is 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. So see, it's almost a square. So we're going to take some blueberry bushel, and I stamped off just because blueberry bushel is such a dark color. So I'm just going to lay this here, and I will stamp off as soon as I find my blueberry bushel. So today you can get all the new ink colors and the magnetic stamp pads. They are very convenient. I'll show you one here after I finish this card, because I still have them sitting here on my desk. See, that's pretty dark, and the sun might not show up too well through it. So we're gonna stamp off and then stamp. And then as long as we have this open, we're gonna do the wherever this card finds you at the top. Okay, we're finished with those two. Now we can get the strawberry slush out and do Hope It Finds You Happy. I just thought it looked pretty to do the words in the two colors that make up the card. I could have did it all in the blueberry bushel. So there we go with that. Now what do we need? We need the sun and the sailboat yet. So I have Daffodil Delight here. The sun. I'm going to ink the sun. Stamp it up here a little bit. And then stamp it a second time in this empty spot right there where it was white. So it looks like it's reflecting down. And now I need some sailboats. I'm going to use my Memento. Excuse me for reaching, it's back here. There we go. Now we're ready to put this on the inside of our card. Put all my stamps up there and I won't lose them. Add some glue to the back of this. Put this in the middle. And it's going to cover up that summer our strawberry slush ink that's back there that somehow mysteriously got there. So now we'll close this up and we are finished, except for some jewels. I still have the In Color 2025 to 2027 jewels here. And I'm going to use the strawberry slush ones, since that's one of the main colors in this card. Let's see, I'm going to put one up here in the sky. And then I could put a little one over here. And another little one, let's see, right about here. Now, if you want it, you could also die cut some birds to put in the sky if you wanted to. You could put some Wink of Stella on your lighthouse. I just don't quite know where you put a ribbon, but you could just tie a little bow with some twine and put it here, like in between your fence line. But there we go, another fun fold card. So let me show you one of the new ink pads. This is Peaceful Pine. So they're so easy to open. And they're magnetic so that you don't use the lid. You can always put it on the back if you turn your lid this way. And then you can just take it off and it just slides right back on there, right in the right spot. Also, when you have more than one, I'm not sure if it will pick up all 5, but we shall see. All 5 stick together so they're easy to pick up and take back to where you want to put them away at. This is Hydrangea Hue, Fairly Blush, Golden Glow, Crisp Cantaloupe, which used to be an in color and it's back, and Peaceful Pine. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and happy stamping.